They told me I was worthless nothing but broken flesh and forgotten dreams. But what happened next would shock you. I was a boy trapped in hell, beaten, abandoned, hidden from the world. What no one knew, that this broken boy would one day hold more wealth than they ever dreamed and use it for a purpose no one expected. From the shadows of cruelty, I clawed my way to power. Every scar, every bruise fueled a fire no one could see. I made a promise not to myself, but to the lost children like me. I would build a sanctuary, a place where forgotten souls could find light. But the cost of survival was a loneliness that even wealth couldn't heal. They called me cold, distant, a man who had it all but gave nothing back. Yet, behind the mansion walls and gold, I was haunted by memories no riches could erase. Every dollar was a reminder of the little boy who never had a home. And when my days grew short, I chose to return to silence alone in a nursing home, waiting for peace. This is not just a story of peanuts, a story of survival, sacrifice, and the unexpected ways we find redemption. The man who once was broken now gives hope to thousands. But the truth, his final days are spent in quiet solitude, far from the empire he built. And the reason why will break your heart. Stay with me till the end, because what you think you know about success and strength is about to be turned upside down. The boy who had nothing left taught the world the true meaning of wealth and loss. I was 6 when I stopped speaking. Words felt dangerous. My stepmother said my voice was annoying. My stepfather proved it with his belt. I learned to be invisible, to move without sound. Sometimes I wondered if I was alive at all, or just something they forgot to bury. I never had a birthday. I never had a hug. One winter night, they left me in a trailer with no heat. I curled under a torn coat, teeth chattering, lips blue. I remember thinking, so this is how I disappear. But fate had a cruel sense of timing. A passing trucker heard something, maybe a cough, maybe God himself, whispering. He broke the lock, and for the first time, someone looked at me with pity, not hate. I was taken to a hospital. I weighed less than a dog. My ribs showed. My skin was paper. A nurse cried when she bathed me. I remember that, not the soap, not the warmth, just the tears. They gave me a new name, a clean bed, but no one could give me back my childhood. I didn't know how to play or laugh. I only knew how to survive. Foster homes came and went, some better than others. One had a man who looked at me like he saw his own pain in my silence. He gave me books. I devoured them like food. I taught myself finance, numbers, people. Pain taught me how to read faces. Hunger taught me how to outthink anyone in the room. I built myself brick by scarred brick. By 30, I was a millionaire. By 40, a ghost in the business world, powerful, private, feared. But I never forgot the cold, the silence, the kid in the trailer. That's why I bought buildings, turned them into homes for orphans. I visited them at night, left notes under pillows. You matter. You are not alone. But still I stayed alone. I never married. I couldn't. Something in me had closed long ago. Doctors said my body bore too much damage. I couldn't have children. That truth hurt more than any bruise I ever had. But maybe it made my mission clearer. If I couldn't create a child, I'd save 1,000. Now I sit here in a small nursing home room. The wallpaper peels. The food is soft. The air smells like final chapters. The staff know me only as Mr. Allen. They don't know the empire I built or the broken boy I buried under it. And I don't tell them, because in the end, I didn't build all this to be remembered. I built it so others could survive. Some nights, I hear crying down the hall. Not loud, just a soft, trembling sound, like a child who's forgotten how to wail. I never ask who it is. We're all ghosts here. Some of us mourning what we lost, others what we never had. I close my eyes and whisper to the dark, "You're not alone." It's the same thing I used to write on the notes I slipped under orphan pillows. They bring me pills 3 times a day. I take them without asking what they're for. It doesn't matter. My heart already feels tired, not from illness, but from remembering too much. I've lived 100 lives in one. The bruised boy, the quiet genius, the man with the gold touch, and now just an old man in flannel slippers, waiting for a knock that never comes. Last week, a young nurse asked if I had children. I smiled and said no, but inside, my mind screamed, I tried to love. I tried to build a world where no child would ever feel what I felt. My body couldn't create life, but maybe, just maybe, my kindness did. Maybe someone out there still remembers the man who left warm coats on frozen doorsteps. The walls of this room are bare, except for one photo. It's of a playground I funded 20 years ago. There's a boy mid-jump, flying off a swing, his mouth wide with laughter. I don't know who he is, but he looks free. That photo reminds me I did something right, that once upon a time I gave someone the childhood I never had. Sometimes I wonder if I'll be remembered. Not for the money, but for the mercy. Not for success, but for survival. I never wanted statues or speeches. I wanted warmth. I wanted the next boy left in the cold to find a door that opened. To hear you matter before the world taught him otherwise. If even one child heard that, then I won. Sometimes I wonder if I'll be remembered. Not for the money, but for the mercy. Not for success, but for survival. I never wanted statues or speeches. I wanted warmth. I wanted the next boy left in the cold to find a door that opened. To hear you matter before the world taught him otherwise. If even one child heard that, then I won. I never signed the letters, never attended the ribbon cuttings. When a child received a bed or warm shoes or therapy, there was no name attached. I didn't want their gratitude. Gratitude can feel like debt. I just wanted them to grow, to laugh without flinching, to dream without apology. Let them think it was luck or kindness from a stranger. That was enough. I used aliases, quiet donations, shell companies. I had lawyers who thought I was paranoid. Maybe I was, but I knew what it was like to owe someone kindness. And I didn't want those kids looking over their shoulders, waiting to repay something I never wanted back. I wanted them to feel free, truly free, the way I never was. Some of the homes I built have my fingerprints on the beams, literally. I visited construction sites at night when no one was around, touched the walls, whispered into the halls, keep them safe. I know it sounds foolish, but when you've survived the dark, you talk to spaces like they listen. I believed walls could hold love. If not mine, then someone's. There were days I almost revealed myself. At graduations, at hospital bedsides, I watched from afar. A girl I'd sponsored became a surgeon. A boy opened a shelter of his own. My chest ached with pride. But I stayed in the shadows, always, because if they saw me, it would change everything. I didn't want to be their story. I wanted them to write their own. I have boxes filled with their letters. They never knew who to thank, so they wrote to whoever helped me. Some are just scribbles, some are pages of pain. I kept them all. Some nights, I reread them like scripture, proof that even a life soaked in sorrow can water the seeds of someone else's joy. People say loneliness is a tragedy, but for me, it was familiar, almost comforting. I never feared silence. I feared false warmth, smiles that vanished behind closed doors, kind words that came with bruises. That's why I never let anyone close. My body healed, my mind succeeded, but my trust, that never fully returned. Some wounds don't scar, they stay open. Before I arrived at this place, I signed everything over. Stocks, properties, bonds transferred quietly into a foundation. The condition, it would fund shelters, counseling, safe spaces for abused children forever. Not in my name, just in their honor. The ones like me, the ones who still hide their pain behind their polite voices and straight spines. They offered me luxury homes, private nurses, retirement clubs, but I chose this place: old walls, squeaky floors, fading wallpaper, because it's simple, honest. I wanted to live my final days where people are real, where no one expects you to impress, only to breathe. And if I'm going to leave quietly, I'd rather it be somewhere that smells like stories. Some of the staff wonder why I never have visitors. They ask, gently, no family. I nod, but the truth is more complicated. I had a family once, but not the kind you'd want to visit you when your hands shake. Not the kind that would sit by your bed, whispering that you mattered. I was born into noise. I chose to die in peace. Sometimes I still flinch when someone touches my shoulder. Childhood doesn't leave you. It lingers in the way you drink water fast, in case it's taken, in how you sleep light, half expecting footsteps in the dark. I've had decades to heal, but some nights, I'm still that boy, curled up begging the world to be softer, just once. I once thought healing meant forgetting, but it doesn't. Healing means remembering without drowning. It means holding the past gently, like a cracked cup, knowing it's part of you, but no longer spilling all over your present. These days, I talk to that little boy inside me. I tell him, you're safe now, I've got you. And sometimes, I think he believes me. There's a willow tree outside the dining room. No one else pays much attention to it, but I sit by the window and watch it sway. It bends in every storm, but never breaks. I like to think I'm like that, weathered, worn, but still standing. Maybe that's all life asks of us. Not perfection, not glory, just endurance. Quiet, dignified survival. One of the staff, Maria, leaves me tea with honey every morning. She doesn't ask questions. She just places it on the table with a soft smile. Sometimes, the smallest kindness feels like a rescue. I don't know if she senses the pain beneath my silence or if she simply chooses gentleness as a rule. Either way, I am grateful, more than she ever know. There's a notebook in my drawer. I started writing letters in it, one for each child I helped. I know they'll never read them. That's not the point. The point is, I need them to exist somewhere. My words, my love, my silent apologies to the child I couldn't be, and to the children I never met, but still carried in my soul like sons and daughters. I still dream sometimes, not of money, not of buildings, but of a warm kitchen, the smell of soup, a hand brushing my hair gently. Dreams that never were. I used to wake in tears. Now I wake in peace, because I know I gave those dreams to others. I built them, brick by brick, for children whose names I'll never know. And that is enough. They offered me an award once, some fancy event, lights, applause. I declined, not because I wasn't proud, but because the world doesn't need another story of triumph. It needs reminders that even the forgotten can be heroes. That brokenness doesn't disqualify you from goodness. That kindness, offered in the shadows, still saves lives. The other residents call me quiet, Mr. Allen, but they don't know that I've spoken in courtrooms, in shelters, in secret donations that changed laws. They don't know that my silence is not emptiness, it's reverence. I don't need to be heard anymore. I just need to leave this world softer than I found it. And in some quiet way, I think I have. Tonight, I looked at the stars from the courtyard. They blinked like old friends. I whispered thanks, not for the pain, but for surviving it, for finding meaning in the ruins. I don't know how many days I have left, but I know this: if I go tomorrow, I won't go empty. My heart is full with every child I protected, every scar that became a light. The night air was cool against my skin, but inside, a quiet warmth spread. Each star reminded me of a child's smile, bright, distant, but real. I thought about the lives I touched, the silent prayers I sent out in the dark. They were my legacy, my light. No riches or fame could ever weigh as heavy as that. Sometimes I wondered if they knew who stood behind their second chances, the man who never asked for thanks, who stayed hidden so they could shine. I never wanted to be their story. I only wanted them to write their own. And in that, I found my peace. Tomorrow, I might close my eyes for the last time, but I carry no fear, because I built more than walls and shelters. I built hope, and hope doesn't die. It echoes through the laughter of every child who dared to dream again. As I wait in this quiet room, I feel a gentle calm. The past, with all its shadows, no longer controls me. I am free, not because the pain vanished, but because I chose to rise above it. In that choice, I found my true strength. So, if you ever feel lost or broken, remember this: even the darkest nights are pierced by stars, and sometimes the quietest hearts hold the brightest lights. My story ends here, but theirs and yours are just beginning.